February 1945. The Americans land on the tiny island of Iwojima. It looks like just a piece of rock in the middle of the ocean. But for this piece, one of the most terrible prices in World War II will be paid. Why? And what happened there in the first place? Let's break it down calmly and to the point. Iwojima is 21 square kilometers of volcanic rock, close to Japan, only 1,200 kilometers to Tokyo. There were 3 Japanese airfields on the island. They were used to intercept American bombers. If we capture Iwojima, it will be easier and safer to bomb Japan. American commanders decide to take the island. The cost is unimportant. What matters is the result. General Kuribayashi commanded the defense of Iwojima. He realized that he couldn't win. There were too many enemies. But he wanted to make sure the Americans paid dearly for every meter. He forbade suicide attacks and built a real fortress underground. Over 18 kilometers of tunnels, bunkers, warehouses. The Japanese hid underground, fired from hiding places, and hardly showed themselves on the surface. The Americans began with a massive air and sea attack. For 3 days, the island was shelled, bombed, and pounded from all sides. They thought there was no one else on the island, but they were wrong. February 19th. The landing began. The beach was covered with black volcanic sand. Equipment got stuck. There were almost no shelters. At first it was quiet. Then the Japanese started firing. They waited for the beach to fill up and struck at once. The fighting was very heavy. The Americans were advancing literally a few meters a day. Fire, traps, snipers, mines. The Japanese were conducting defenses from underground, using tunnels to move quickly. They showed up where they weren't expected. The Americans were forced to use flamethrowers, grenades, and explosives to mop up fortifications. On February 23rd, the Americans raised the flag on top of Mount Suribachi. That moment became a symbol. A photo of the flag raising went around the world. But the battle itself was not over. For another month, there was fighting for the northern part of the island. The battle ended on March 26th. The Americans lost about 7,000 men killed and over 19,000 wounded. Of the approximately 21,000 Japanese soldiers, only a few hundred survived. The rest either died in the battle or committed suicide. Iwojima was captured, but the question remained, was it worth such losses? Then the island was actually used to refuel bombers, to evacuate damaged planes. It became an intermediate point before the final assault on Japan. The Battle of Iwojima has come to symbolize resilience on both sides. The Japanese defended to the end. The Americans went forward against all odds. But the most important thing this battle shows is the cost of war. Sometimes tens of thousands of people die for the sake of one strategic point. Today, Iwojima is a quiet island with monuments. But back then, it was one of the most terrible episodes of the war in the Pacific. And it still raises questions. Could it have been otherwise? Or was it inevitable?